About a month ago, I moved back to the US after spending the last 4 years and the better part of the last decade abroad. And I just spent a good portion of my life savings on this truck and truck camper. And while I thought I got a really good deal on this whole setup, I've slowly figured out there are quite a few more things wrong with both the truck and the camper that I originally was not aware about. So today I'm gonna walk you through my new setup, and we're gonna see if this thing is actually worth what I paid for it, or if it is just completely cooked. And to make things even more interesting, I found a couple things while going through this truck and camper that linked me to their original owners. And today we're gonna try to get in touch and see if we can find out a little bit about the history and the past of both this truck and the truck camper. So let's talk about how we got here in the first place. Rewind about a month ago, I moved back to the US, to North Carolina, where I am from, because my visa for living in the EU, living in Denmark, expired. And I thought it was time to move back home. So something you may not know about me is I actually, during the pandemic, owned a camper van and spent a lot of my weekends away fishing, spending time outdoors, and I really grew to love the lifestyle. But of course, in true Nick fashion, can never completely commit to the nomadic van life lifestyle. And to be quite honest, it has been something that has lived rent-free in my head ever since. So in trying to make the best out of what could have been a bad situation, I decided to start my search for my new home. So that's where all the classic questions come into play. Do I want a dedicated camper van? Do I want a truck and a travel trailer? Or do I want a slide-in truck camper? So I weighed my options a bit. I realized with the truck and travel trailer, that was just going to be very difficult to travel around, very difficult to be in transit, and something I always would have to worry about in traffic. So that quickly got X'd off the list. Next was the camper van, and that's something that I've had before that was just a light, I guess you could say, weekend build with just a mattress in the back and some storage for all of my hobby gear, if you can say. And I realized that wasn't quite the direction I wanted to go either, because there was going to have to be a lot of upfitting required to get that vehicle, to get a van to where I wanted it to be. And then a perspective that I always want to keep in mind with camper vans is that as you put miles on that vehicle, you're putting miles on your home. So let's say, there's a catastrophic failure with something with the van. That's also your home. So you are stuck. You are tied to that vehicle. And I also have a senior dog. So I needed something where comfort was very possible and something where the dog can travel with me. And as we're about to gradually go into summer here in the US, I wanted something that the dog could be very, very comfortable in. After a quick call with some of my friends that had done the van life nomadic living for about 7 years, I landed on the idea of truck and truck camper. But there was only one problem. There are just not a ton of these in existence, and the ones that people have either are not for sale or usually very, very run down. They're made to be lightweight. As you can see, this one is called the Travelite 770R. So in being lightweight, they're made out of very, I don't want to say low quality, but very lightweight, minimal construction. So the problem that presents is water intrusion. And that is something that was a reality with this camper. I'll show you a little bit later. And I almost forgot to mention, y'all, we got our very first sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Bowie Boots. I've got a pair of the Bowie Originals and a pair of the Bowie Pros here, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Bowie here close to the end of the video. One of the main things I was worried about with a truck and truck camper was the fact that you have to buy two separate things. And knowing myself, and all of my different transitions in life is going to turn into two things that I have to sell at some point. But it was a risk I was willing to take. The very first day I landed back in the US, I started my hunt for a truck camper and a truck. It really was kind of a function of whichever one I found a good deal on first. Because it's probably one thing you should know about me, is I don't buy things unless I get a really good deal on them. So the hunt began. And it's a good thing to mention that I did have my algorithm primed a bit, in that I was searching for truck campers and trucks in the weeks leading up to me coming back to the US. So day one, I log on to Marketplace, and the first thing that pops up is a truck camper for sale for a very good price. I'm not going to tell you how much yet. In my hometown. I'll put up the screenshots here of the original ad. And from the pictures, you couldn't really see exactly what it was. You couldn't tell how old it was. And the description was kind of vague. Luckily for me, it was posted 17 minutes before I saw it. So I was one of the first, if not the first, people to message about the truck camper. So I messaged letting the owners know that I was indeed interested and I could be on the way really quickly with money to buy their truck camper. But there was a problem. It was Easter weekend, and they were kind of busy getting the house ready for a move, and they didn't quite have time to show me the camper. They asked if I wanted to stop by the following Monday and come see the camper, as that they had a few people that also wanted to come by on Monday. But anyone else that knows Facebook Marketplace and getting good deals, that is a big hell no. Because that means the first person there with money is going home with the camper. So I was persistent. I kindly let them know that this was the model that I was looking for and that this fit exactly my needs. And I was actually located in the same town as them, that I could come by in the next hour and bring them cash money. And with a little bit of charm and convincing, they decided, you know what? We can be there in 30 minutes to show you the camper. Keep in mind that from the photos on Facebook, I think there were one or two, I couldn't really see much about the camper other than it was, simply a very simple. It looked a bit older from the pictures, but I couldn't tell quite enough about it. But for the price it was listed for, I was kind of happy with anything. When I arrived and met the owners, I noticed this little placard first. Where did it go? It's on the other side. But I lied to you. There is no placard. Sorry, I'm just a little bit stupid. It's right here. So when I arrived and read the date on that, my mind was blown. While I thought this was going to be a water-damaged 90s camper that I was showing up to see, it ended up being a 2016 Travelite 770R. These campers are designed to be lightweight, fit on half, 3/4, and full-ton trucks, and are meant to be, kind of flexible in the type of truck that you put them on. So that is something I was kind of looking for, is decent condition, maybe something that needed a little work, and something that could fit on a wide range of trucks, as I didn't have a truck at the moment, and, something, of course, that had a good price. So this camper was listed for $2,500. And mind you, after doing a little bit of research after buying it, and before buying it, of course, because of course I do my research before buying things, I saw, similar comps going for, anywhere from $7,000 to $12,000. So I knew that this was a deal that I absolutely had to take advantage of. But the camper is not without its flaws. I'll show you a couple. If you can see this underside here, this board is all rotten. These jacks that take it on and off the truck, they don't work like they should. There's water damage on this side. There's also a bit of water damage on this side. So there are some flaws. And after digging into it, I also realized that there were quite a few more flaws. The propane stove didn't work when I got it. The water heater that's housed right here, it doesn't work. And also, there was issues with the battery system that operates kind of the charging and the off-grid capabilities of the truck camper, which were, one of the things that really attracted me to the idea of a truck camper. But even with the potential issues, I decided to take the truck camper. I paid them $2,500, and the next day my brother and I came and picked up the truck camper. So mission 1, find a truck camper, complete. Then again, it put me in a very interesting situation in that now I've got a truck camper, but I have no truck. So with the help and advice of a couple of good friends, I started to do the research on what kind of truck I wanted and needed. Now, I am classically a Toyota guy, specifically the Gen 1 Tundras, Tacomas, and Sequoias come with an absolutely bulletproof drivetrain, but I wanted something a little bit heavier duty to carry the camper and all the extra gear that might be involved. Quickly went in the rabbit hole of brands. Do I want a Ford? Do I want a Chevy? Do I want a Dodge? Do I want something newer? Do I want something old? And what is the most truck that I can get for less than $10,000? So for that budget, you're not really going to get a great diesel truck. You may get something that has been absolutely worn into the ground. And I was really scared about getting into something that was going to end up being a money pit. So I decided to stick to the gas side of things. And at the moment, gas is about $4 a gallon and diesel fuel is around $6 a gallon. So the choice not to go diesel was actually quite an easy one. So next I started to look at availability. What was actually available and what could I actually get for under $10,000? And very quickly a front runner emerged. The Ford F-250. Built Ford tough. If you're in marketing at Ford, hit me up. I'm available. So as I like to do, I nerded out for about 3 or 4 days on what exactly is the best Ford gas engine that I wanted. I started to look at some of the older trucks, the 90s trucks. I really love the old 90s boxy Ford body style. They're really, really cool. I also went to look at a couple of trucks that had the 5.4 liter V8, but I understood they had some problems and, there is an upgraded option in terms of gas engines and economic price point available. In steps the 6.2 liter V8 Boss engine that Ford started producing in their full-size trucks starting in 2011. My parameters were complete. I knew that I wanted a Ford F-250 or F-350 with the 6.2 liter gas engine from 2011 to 2016 seemed to be what I could actually afford. That began the hunt. I went to look at quite a few trucks and nothing really fit what I needed. There was one that had a really bad paint job, one that was super, super rusty, a great deal, but super rusty. So I stayed persistent. I do have the tendency sometimes to want to get something and want to get, that truck purchased, and I think everybody does. But I have a brother that's very, very mechanically inclined, and he was my source of truth. Him and also my grandfather that was, a mechanic and truck driver. They kept me honest with my search and didn't let me stray on any options that weren't going to be perfect for me. So one Tuesday morning, about a month ago, I woke up and I noticed a 2014 F-250 four-wheel drive with a long bed, exactly the specification I needed, on sale on Facebook Marketplace for a really, really good price. The only problem, it was 4.5 hours away. So what did I do? I hopped in my little gas getter, good mile per gallon, I don't know the best way to put it, but my fuel economic, I don't know how to call it, but anyway, my gas getter, and I headed down to Conway, South Carolina to check out this truck. So I arrived, and while this truck may be the base model XL Ford F-250, it is in really good shape, other than a couple of small things. There are no major dents not a huge amount of rust. It's in really good shape. It had new tires, no broken windshields, anything like that. I was pretty happy with the look of the truck. That's where things get interesting. So I knew the truck had some small mechanical issues, but I also know that to get a really good deal on something, sometimes they're gonna have a couple of small issues. But knowing that I have surrounded by people that can help me with these mechanical things and also guide me through the repairs, I decided to look a little bit deeper into them. Before I could even leave South Carolina, this truck needed a front left wheel bearing. It needed a small repair on the power steering pump. One of the hoses in the steering box was leaking. It needed an oil change, and it also had a couple of small other things that were able to be ironed out by a mechanic. While I only paid $5,200 for this truck, I had to do about $1,800 in repairs to the truck, bringing the total that I have invested in it at around $7,000. The great thing about that is the Blue Book value on a kind of comparable model is around $10,000, $11,000, kind of depending on where you put the condition. So I rest assured that I can turn around and sell this truck after using it and maybe even still make a little bit of money. That's a little bit on how I landed on the camper and how I landed on the truck, but I didn't stop there. I get really curious about these things, and I really want to know, what was the story behind this vehicle? This camper and this truck are going to be something that I plan to live in over the next 6 months, 12 months. We'll see how long. I don't know, maybe it's a month. We'll see. You never know with me. But I was very curious about what is the past of this truck and of the camper itself. From the items I found in the truck, I could tell a few things. There was a little bit of paint on the seat and in the bed. Also, the bed is a little bit roughed up, so I can tell it was used for some kind of work. It was also pretty dirty on the inside, so I knew that this was formerly a work truck. And I knew that it came from the Delaware and Maryland area. It had 2 owners. It looked like it was fleet owned and then sold to an owner in Maryland. So while cleaning out the back seat, I found this. So this is a composite sketch of the original owner of this truck. And with the help of AI, I've been able to reconstruct what the original owner of this truck actually looked like. I think it's possible. So I keep this on the dash for good luck. While cleaning out the back seat, I found what could possibly be the best clue that I could possibly find about this truck. I found a pin, and it says, "The Ricky Lau Show LLC. We don't get bored with boards." And it has his phone number on it. I realized that this could definitely be just a pin that anybody has dropped in the back seat, and it didn't mean anything definitive. But I just received the title in the mail 2 days ago, and the former owner of this vehicle is named Richard Lau. I've been saving this moment for a few days now, but we're going to call Richard and see what we can find out about the actual history of this truck. All I know is that it was in the Maryland and Delaware area, possibly used for home renovations, that sort of thing, but I don't know anything conclusive about it, and hopefully we're about to find that out. Let's give Ricky a call. Hey Ricky, my name is Nick, and I bought your 2014 F-250 here about a month ago, and I just wanted to talk to you and see if there is any kind of maintenance or any repairs that you had done. Just wanted to learn a little bit more about the truck, as I'm using it for to haul my truck camper around the U.S. and also have a YouTube channel. So I'd really love to learn a little bit about the history of the truck, maybe what you've maybe some of the maintenance and repairs that you've done to it. But yeah, really love to talk about it. Just more curious than anything. All right, hope you have a good day. Thank you so much. All right, he didn't pick up the phone, but we left a voicemail. It seemed really nice. Hopefully we get a call back. You can't win them all, I guess. But in this binder is something really interesting. Let me find it. So this is the binder of things that came with the truck camper. All the fun documents. And what's really cool is if anybody has, older parents, grandparents, you know that there's a generation of people that really like to print things out. So luckily for me, I have a copy of the 2019 Craigslist for sale ad with all of the photos of what this used to look like in here. And I also have the information of the original owner and purchaser of this camper. All I know at this point is that his name is Howard. All right. We're calling. Nick Dixon, question about camper. Hey James, my name is Nick Dixon and I recently bought your Travelite 770R camper, and I just wanted to give you a quick call and learn a little bit about the history of it. I always have a little bit of a fascination with anything that I buy and want to know a little bit of the past of it. I can see by your number that you are a North Carolina guy. I'm from Mebane, and I'm just kind of curious about the history of the camper. No questions, no accusations, anything like that. Just kind of want to know a little bit about the history of it. But anyway, hope you're having a great day and a great weekend, and hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one. All right. No answer from Richard or James, but we tried. And I'm going to keep the comments on this video updated if we do get a reply and can learn a little bit more about the truck and about the camper. I'm super excited to announce that we have our first sponsor on the channel, and hopefully the first of many. But I'm excited to announce that we're working with Bowie Boots. This is one of their boots. This is the Bowie Pro. It has the Bowie foam bottom, natural rubber upper, and a neoprene liner to keep your feet dry, in these kind of marshy, wet conditions that you find here in coastal North Carolina. And they're actually founded here in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And I'm super excited to be partnering with them as we make our way across North Carolina and make our way across the US, which a little bit more about that coming up in the next video. We're going to be representing the brand and testing these boots out under a lot of different outdoor conditions. So super excited to be working with them going forward, and hopefully lots of more exciting stuff to come. Now that you know the story of everything, let's do a quick walk around of the truck and the camper. Let's hop inside. And pardon my organization, we're still working through that. So if you see anything that may be a nice addition or subtraction, definitely let me know in the comments. But got a queen size bed up here, room for the guitar, and my fishing rods stored up here. Important things first. Propane stove, got a little sink area set up over here. Microwave for all things that need to be microwaved. We even have a shower. We have a freaking shower. You can have a shower and then go out and look at this view right here. What could possibly be better? We got a full fridge. Check this out. It even works when we're off grid here. A bunch of storage, a nice comfortable place to sit and edit video. And this is the thing that I'm hopefully going to work through here in the next week or so, is a better solution for this storage. I just don't love it. I want something that looks a little bit more turnkey and doesn't go flying quite as far when I go around turns too fast. But that is a quick walkthrough of the truck and the camper and a little bit about the story of how they came to be. And of course, an introduction to our first sponsor, Buoy. So thank you all for watching the video. I'm really excited for you to be here and come along with the journey. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming back, and we'll see you soon.